welcome back to my channel. My name is Kylie, and I read. Today I wanted to share with you guys some of my favorite books and my favorite book series. Just because my channel is new, so I want to give everybody a chance to get to know me a little. I want you guys to see what my favorite books are so you know what books we have in common, and you can recommend the books that you want me to make a reading vlog of based off of these favorites. So with all that, let's get into it. First off, I have After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my favorite authors of all time. I know some people classify her writing as romance. I would say it's more literary fiction or contemporary romance. After I Do, I would say is my favorite of all of her books. I've read all of them except for 2 of them. This is kind of more on her backlog of reading. You'll see less people recommending this than you will The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo or Carrie Soto is Back or any of those. This is by far her most emotionally driven book out of all of them that I've read. It's about this married couple, Lauren and Ryan, and you kind of go through their life story in the beginning in a kind of fast-paced way, and then you get to their marriage is kind of falling apart, so they decide to take a year break and be separated for a year, and then from there decide if they still want to be together. So you follow Lauren through this whole 1-year separation and her relationship with her family and dating again and finding herself. And I thought it was really inspirational. It's really a deep dive on the meaning of a marriage and the meaning of a soulmate and the meaning of a life partner. It's really a deep dive into the complexities of those relationships and what they mean to different kinds of people. So I read this after I read Evelyn Hugo for the first time. And I read it in one sitting, and I remember sobbing my eyes out at the end because the ending was just so perfect. If you enjoyed Taylor Jenkins Reid Hollywood series, which is 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Carrie Soto is Back, Malibu Rising, and then I think you would really enjoy this one as well. It leans a little more traditionally romance than some of her other books, but I really welcomed that. Okay, so for our first series, we have the Magnolia Park series by Jessa Hastings. I don't have the whole series, this is the only one I have. These are the shoe covers. Whenever they were traditionally published, they had these beautiful illustration of like ships and trees and all kinds of like fun covers. And I bought this before I had read the books, and now that I've read all of them, I'm like, I don't want to buy any more of the shoe covers because I think the original covers are so beautiful. So I'm in the market for those. But basically, I love this book because it reminds me so much of the Gossip Girl series. I've never watched the Gossip Girl TV show, but I did read all of the Gossip Girl books. And I, for some reason, just never had it in me to watch the TV show. Let me know if it's worth it, if you've read the Gossip Girl books. But this reminds me of Gossip Girl so much. It does take place in the UK, and they're all rich. And the series is kind of split, so half of the books are Magnolia Park's books, and they're narrated by Magnolia and her love interest, BJ. They have an on-again, off-again romance. They remind me a lot of Blair and Nate, although I think they're so much better than Blair and Nate. Then the other half of the series are the Daisy Hates books, and Daisy Hates has kind of a friends with benefits situation with one of Magnolia's best friends, Christian. Daisy Hates books are mafia romances, kind of. So very different, but also the same vibes, the same feelings. Jessa Hastings has such a unique writing style because it's all very witty, but it's also like so emotionally poignant, stabbing me in the heart, the most beautiful quotes I've ever seen in my life. I love book character relationships that last their whole lives. Like they're on and off for their whole lives, and they come in and out of each other's lives, but they're always thinking about each other. And that's exactly what Magnolia and BJ are. And they're so toxic, so if you can't handle toxic characters where you kind of hate them but you kind of love them, then maybe Magnolia Parks is not for you. I, however, eat that up. And I love the Magnolia Park series. I will warn you, they are an unfinished series. There's 3 Magnolia Parks books and 2 Daisy Hates books. So the Magnolia Parks part of it is wrapped up, but the Daisy Hates part is not. And the ending of the last Daisy Hates book kind of eats me alive every single day. So you might want to wait until the next Daisy book has been announced. However, the ride that these books take you on is absolutely worth it. Next, we have The Comeback by Lily Chu. Lily Chu might be my favorite author. She's definitely, I think, the most underrated author that I've ever read. All of the main characters in Lily Chu's books are Asian, but they're Asian Canadian, I guess would be the term. And so all of them really touch on the meanings of being the children of immigrants. And each character has a different perspective on that, which is so interesting. So she has 3 books out so far: The Stand-In, The Comeback, and The Takedown. The Comeback is definitely my favorite. The main character, Aradne, is a very routine-driven, type A, focused type of person. And her roommate is out of town. Her roommate's cousin comes to stay with them, and she starts exploring the city with him, and they become really close. And then all of a sudden she finds out that he is a K-pop star, and she gets sucked into this whole other world. And it's absolutely insane the way that the book shifts into a whole different narrative. And all of Lily Chu's books have this element of finding yourself. I know that's like in almost every book, the character finds themselves by the end. But the way Lily Chu does it, you really feel the journey, and you feel like you found yourself in it as well. Next, we have the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. To truly get to know me, especially my reading habits, you have to know that my love for reading started with the Percy Jackson series in 3rd grade. My 3rd grade teacher read this to us. She only read the first book, and I was like, wow, I have to know what happens next. So I've read all of the Percy Jackson books. There's a 2nd series, The Hero of Olympus, and I read those as well, and I think about them every single day. And the Percy Jackson TV show is so good. So now is a great time to get in on the ground level of being a Percy Jackson fan. These books are YA, and sometimes they really read YA. And sometimes they can be a little cringy, but I think it's worth it to get to the Heroes of Olympus series. And also the character arcs in this series are so beautiful and lovely to me. I'm not sure if that's just a nostalgia thing or what, but basically Percy is at a boarding school, him and his best friend, and weird things start happening, and he finds out that he is a demigod, which means that he is the son of a Olympus Greek god and a human, and he has to go on a quest to save his mom. And it gives, if you're a Harry Potter fan, I guarantee you'd be into Percy Jackson, and you have to just get past the YA stuff, and then it's beautiful. It's fantastic. I love the battle scenes. I love the characters. It has such a good, you're waiting for a certain couple to get together from page 40 of this book until the last Percy Jackson book. It's so beautiful, and if you don't read the book, please watch the show. I think they're doing such a beautiful job with the show, especially because the Percy Jackson movie, they completely botched. So I'm really happy that the show is so good. Okay, I know this is not a revolutionary pick. Everybody and their mother loves Emily Henry, but I do want to just spotlight for 1 second Funny Story and also Book Lovers by Emily Henry. My Book Lovers copy I'm loaning it to somebody right now. But both of these books really turn the kind of Hallmark movie tropes on their head. Daphne was dating this guy who was Milo's girlfriend's childhood best friend, if you're following. And they broke up with Daphne and Milo so they could be together. And so then Daphne's like, well, I need a place to live. I guess I'll live with you, Milo, since you also just got dumped. So it's like in every Hallmark movie ever, or romance movie, whenever the 2 childhood best friends finally get together and their evil girlfriend and boyfriend get broken up with, you kind of get to see behind the curtain a little bit of maybe, these people were in the right. Funny Story is her most recent release. And then she has another one coming out in April. I'm so excited to see what she's going to do with that one. But if you haven't read Emily Henry, if you've been putting it off, or if you're not typically a romance reader, I highly recommend her. I haven't seen anybody who doesn't like her writing. So please give her a try. And then the last book. Once again, this is not a revolutionary pick, right? But I have been putting this book off for multiple years. I read the first book in this series years and years and years ago, and I just like wasn't blown away. And then I bought this one to read whenever I was done. And I was like, I have no desire to pick that up because I didn't really like the first book. And then in the last year, someone finally convinced me to pick this up, and it changed my life. So I'm putting this in here just so you know that if you've been putting off this series, or if you read the first book and you didn't like it, please come back around to the second book because it is absolutely brilliant. And not that the first book is bad. I reread the first book and I was like, oh, this is actually a lot better than I remembered. Please come back around to the ACOTAR series if you haven't. I highly recommend. So that is all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to thank everybody who's subscribed so far. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that button below. Also, if you could like this video, that would be so nice of you. It will help me get out to everybody else who maybe would be interested in seeing my videos. And I should hopefully be back next week with a reading vlog for you guys. So stay tuned for that. Thank you and bye.